Welcome back. Tonight, we are stepping into the strange frontier where folklore meets Wi-Fi, a place where the ghosts do not haunt forests or graveyards, but live inside screens, servers, and shared stories. The monsters of the past used to hide under beds. Now they hide in broadband connections. This is the world of digital folklore, where myth is no longer whispered by candlelight, but carried by notifications and comment threads. The internet did not just change how we talk, it changed what we fear. For centuries, people used stories to explain the unexplainable, spirits, curses, reflections that moved on their own. But when the world went online, those same instincts found a new home. The shadows stretched into cyberspace. Instead of a witch in the woods, we got Slender Man, a faceless figure born from Photoshop and imagination. Instead of a mirror ritual passed through sleepovers, we got Bloody Mary revived as a challenge on YouTube and TikTok. The legends did not die, they updated their software. It is easy to laugh at how these tales spread. A screenshot, a forum post, a shaky video with eerie music. But behind each internet monster lies something familiar, the human need to connect through fear. The same energy that once fueled ghost stories now powers memes and creepypastas. Every share, every reaction, every "have you seen this?" breathes new life into them. They become alive, not because they exist, but because we keep them existing. The internet acts like a global campfire. Billions of us sit around it, eyes lit by screens, retelling modern myths in real time. Each post becomes a spark, each repost a gust of wind. And before long, rumor hardens into reality, at least emotionally. These stories remind us that fear does not need proof. It only needs participation. So, as we scroll through timelines filled with eerie images and whispered warnings, it is worth asking, are we still the storytellers, or have the stories learned to tell themselves? Tonight, let us trace how this new folklore was born, how the internet, the world's biggest amplifier, gave birth to a new generation of ghosts. Back in 2009, a user on the online forum, Something Awful, posted 2 edited photos showing children with a tall, faceless figure lurking behind them. It was meant as a joke, a creative entry in a Photoshop contest. But something about the image struck a nerve. The faceless man in the suit was not tied to any culture, religion, or mythology. He was eerily blank, and that made him universal. People began to fill in his story themselves. They gave him names, motives, powers, victims. Within days, a shared myth had formed. The beauty and danger of the internet is that stories no longer belong to one person. Within forums, blogs, and YouTube videos, Slender Man multiplied. Artists drew him in forests. Writers built entire horror series. And soon his presence bled into games like Slender, The 8 Pages, and Minecraft mods. The more people interacted, the more real he felt. It was not belief in a ghost. It was immersion in a narrative that everyone helped write. Unlike the monsters of folklore passed down through generations, Slender Man had no origin story tied to place or morality. He came from pixels and fear, and yet his myth followed the same pattern as old legends: mystery, danger, punishment for curiosity. The internet, it turned out, could recreate the old campfire atmosphere on a global scale. Millions were sitting in the dark, staring at screens, whispering the same story. What started as a meme became something heavier, a reflection of how easily imagination and connection can turn fiction into emotional truth. Slender Man was not real, but the fear was, and that fear proved that even in an age of information, people still crave the unknown. Long before the internet, children stood before mirrors in dark bathrooms, whispering her name, Bloody Mary. It was a game of courage, a dare wrapped in superstition. But when social media came along, the old ritual found new life. Platforms like YouTube, Vine, and later TikTok turned the legend into a performance. Instead of dim candlelight, there was the glow of a phone screen. Instead of a handful of kids, there were millions of viewers waiting to see what might appear. The mirror challenge fit perfectly into the rhythm of the internet, short, repeatable, and thrilling. People recorded themselves chanting her name, waiting for a flicker or shadow. Some edited their videos to show sudden jumps or ghostly faces. Others swore the mirror fogged on its own. The comments became the campfire circle, strangers debating, teasing, daring each other to try again. What is striking is how quickly fear adapted to technology. The mirror, once a gateway between worlds, became a metaphor for the screen itself. Both are reflective surfaces that might show more than you expect. In both, people stare into the dark, hoping to be seen by something beyond. But unlike ancient folklore, Bloody Mary's rebirth was not tied to belief, it was about experience. It became part of online identity, proof of bravery, a viral stunt, a slice of childhood fear packaged for algorithms. Yet beneath the humor, the same human instinct lingered. We still want to face the unknown, to test the border between real and imagined. The internet did not erase superstition. It just gave it a share button. If Slender Man showed how myths could spread through creativity, the Momo challenge revealed how they could spiral through fear. Around 2018, images of a strange, bird-like face began circulating online with warnings that it was linked to a dangerous viral game. According to rumors, children were being contacted by a character named Momo, who encouraged self-harm and secrecy. Parents panicked, schools issued alerts, and media outlets amplified the story. But there was no evidence the challenge existed in any real, organized way. The creepy image itself came from a Japanese sculpture, not a sinister online cult. What kept the story alive was not proof, but anxiety. In a digital world where parents already feared what their kids might encounter, the Momo tale became a perfect storm. Technology, morality, and imagination feeding one another. The more people tried to warn others, the faster it spread. News stations showed the photo, YouTubers dissected the mystery, and social media made the monster unavoidable. Fear turned into engagement. Clicks became confirmation. Momo was not haunting children. Adults were haunting themselves with the thought of her. The whole episode exposed a deeper truth. The internet does not just create myths, it manufactures moral panic. Every share multiplies the illusion of danger. Every warning gives the ghost a louder voice. By the time fact-checkers arrived, the legend had already gone viral. Momo never had to be real. She only needed attention. And the internet delivered that in abundance. Before social media, stories traveled slowly through books, films, and conversations. The internet shattered that rhythm. A legend can now be born, spread, and die within a week. Platforms like Reddit, TikTok, and YouTube became modern storytellers, where a well-timed post or eerie clip can spiral into global myth overnight. These short bursts of content creepypastas, found footage edits, reaction chains are the new campfire tales. The format rewards speed and emotion. Fear works fast. A blurry video, a mysterious username, a few cryptic comments that is all it takes for imagination to fill the gaps. Once shared enough times, fiction begins to feel factual. Even the people who know it is just a story still join in, because the performance of fear is part of the fun. The thrill is communal. This cycle also reveals something deeper about the internet's psychology. It values participation more than proof. Every repost, remix, or parody adds another layer, turning one person's fiction into everyone's folklore. What used to be passed from storyteller to listener now loops endlessly between creator and audience until those roles blur. The result is a world where fear is no longer confined to dark corners. It lives in our feeds. Horror has become interactive, and each of us, whether we mean to or not, keeps adding wood to the fire. In older times, myths were told by a few and believed by many. Now, everyone gets to be both the teller and the believer. The internet turned storytelling into a group project, chaotic, creative, and strangely democratic. Anyone can add a detail, twist a plot, or expand a universe. The result is that legends like Slender Man or Backrooms, Creepypastas, are not owned by any one creator. They belong to the hive mind. When thousands of users collaborate through comments, fan art, and videos, something eerie happens. The story begins to evolve like a living organism. It adapts to new platforms, languages, and cultural fears. One version might be poetic, another absurd, another genuinely disturbing. The myth breathes because it is being constantly rewritten. This kind of participatory myth making also changes how we experience fear. It is no longer passive. People want to be part of the story, to play the game, solve the mystery, or even witness the creature themselves. Online horror becomes a performance shared between strangers who may never meet, but who understand the same emotional rhythm: curiosity, tension, relief. The irony is that in an era obsessed with facts and algorithms, collective imagination has never been stronger. When a story catches fire online, it feels more alive than truth itself, because truth ends, but stories keep mutating. And in that constant evolution, we see the modern shape of folklore, built not by superstition, but by participation. Behind every viral monster lies something more human than supernatural: the psychology of fear itself. The internet does not invent terror out of thin air. It amplifies what already lives in us. We click on frightening stories because they let us face anxiety in a controlled way. A monster behind a screen feels safer than one in the dark. Digital legends like Slender Man, Momo, or Bloody Mary tap into the same primal emotions our ancestors once felt around the fire: the need to test boundaries, to glimpse the unknown, to belong to a story bigger than ourselves. Fear becomes a kind of social glue. People share scary videos or screenshots, not just to warn others, but to connect through a shared rush of adrenaline. The most unsettling part is how these myths exploit loneliness. The internet promises community, but often delivers isolation. When someone spends hours scrolling alone at night, a strange video or urban legend can slip past rational thought. It feels intimate, like something whispering directly to you. That is the real trick of modern horror. It hides in the spaces between people. The more connected we become, the easier it is for unease to travel. Digital monsters do not have to chase us. They just wait in the algorithms, knowing curiosity will bring us to them. In the digital age, stories rarely stay contained. Once a rumor catches the attention of mainstream media, it multiplies beyond control. News outlets, always hungry for engagement, often report on internet myths before confirming their reality. A headline, like "Deadly Online Game Targets Children," spreads faster than any correction that follows. The Momo panic proved that the media can become part of the folklore itself, not its observer, but its amplifier. Television anchors and journalists frame such tales as warnings, giving them moral weight. The intention may be protective, but the effect is paradoxical. Visibility fuels fear. When a myth reaches national broadcasts or front-page news, it becomes official. Parents panic, schools send alerts, and the myth evolves from digital rumor to public crisis. It is no longer just a story online, it is a cultural event. Influencers and creators play a similar role. Reaction videos, podcasts, or analysis threads dissect each legend, turning anxiety into entertainment. In doing so, they keep the narrative alive, feeding both fascination and skepticism. The more attention a myth receives, the harder it is to extinguish. This loop from social media to traditional media and back again shows how the boundaries between information and imagination have eroded. The same networks that can spread truth at lightning speed can also turn fiction into emotional fact. Fear has always been contagious. Now, the internet makes it measurable. Each click, each view, each share becomes a data point in how humanity passes its nightmares forward, not whispered, but broadcast. Every era creates monsters that mirror its own anxieties. The internet age is no different. Slender Man, Momo, and other viral phantoms are not random horrors, they are reflections of digital life itself. A faceless man stalking you online echoes the fear of surveillance and data tracking. A deadly challenge that manipulates kids speaks to parental helplessness in a world of screens. A ghost in the mirror, re-emerging on TikTok, shows how nostalgia and fear intertwine. These stories reveal what people worry about beneath the memes and hashtags: losing control, being watched, being disconnected while appearing connected. The monsters embody our hidden dread of the virtual unknown algorithms that know us better than we know ourselves. Strangers who can reach us instantly, information we can't unsee once it is clicked. In this way, digital folklore becomes cultural diagnosis. It is not about whether these ghosts exist, but what they expose. Each legend maps the emotional landscape of a society, learning to live with technology that is too fast, too vast, and too intimate. The internet promised transparency. What it delivered was mystery in high definition. And maybe that is why we keep inventing digital demons to give shape to invisible fears. They make the intangible feel tangible, and in doing so, remind us that the scariest part of the modern world is not what is online, but what it reveals about us. The pattern is clear. Technology does not destroy fear, it evolves it. Every leap forward in communication has carried superstition with it. The printing press spread ghost stories, the radio told haunted broadcasts, and the internet now turns them into viral trends. What is changed is the scale and speed. A rumor that once took years to travel through villages can now reach millions in an hour. Yet beneath all the noise, the reason remains the same. People crave meaning in chaos. Fear is just one of the ways we try to make sense of uncertainty. In a world overflowing with information, horror becomes a filter, something that simplifies complexity into a story we can feel. When a faceless man chases you through a screen, it is not just a fright. It is a metaphor for the unseen systems shaping your life. These digital myths are the folklore of our era, and they serve the same purpose as ancient legends: to warn, to connect, to release tension. The monsters of the web do not live in haunted houses. They live in patterns, in glitches, in the strange comfort of shared unease. So maybe the question is not whether we still believe in ghosts. Maybe it is how we keep inventing them out of pixels, code, and loneliness. Because even in a world of logic and light, fear always finds a new form. And on the internet, it travels at the speed of a click. When you look back at all these stories, Slender Man lurking in the woods of the web, Bloody Mary staring back from digital mirrors, Momo whispering through screens, they form a strange reflection of us. We built the network to connect, to learn, to share, and yet we also used it to recreate something ancient, our need for mystery. The internet did not invent fear, it democratized it. Every post, every click, every share is another thread in a new mythology, one stitched together by billions of hands. These ghosts do not float through abandoned halls. They drift through timelines and group chats, reminding us that superstition is not outdated, only updated. What these digital legends show is simple. Even in a world wired for logic, emotion still rules. Fear still spreads faster than facts, and stories still outlive their creators. The web is our new campfire, and we are all sitting around it, eyes glowing in the dark, waiting for the next whisper. Thanks for watching and for joining me tonight. If you enjoy exploring the hidden corners of modern myths and the strange ways we keep them alive, do not forget to stay with the channel. There is always another story waiting just beyond the screen.